Guys, I'm going to do an update in regard to tariffs and how they affect your real estate investment strategy in Windsor, Ontario. And I want you to remember this as we go through this process over the next 4 or 5 minutes. Never let a crisis go to waste. I'm Rhys from the Vanguard team at Manor Realty. I'm in Southwestern Ontario with a team of 8 real estate agents. They're absolute commandos. They're all landlords themselves, and they all have specific real estate investment to help you build up your own wealth. And we've been doing this as a team for 21 years. So we know what we're doing, man, in regard to tariffs. So what you have to understand, and it might not feel like it right now, what you have to understand is how temporary the uncertainty is as Trump moves this and that and up and down. And as I'm recording this, he just increased tariffs on aluminum and steel from 25% to 50%, right? And it's not that it is 50% that's the problem. The problem is that it keeps moving, right? The tariffs and the decisions, they keep moving. There's this uncertainty, which is slowing everybody down. But the people that aren't slowing down are the real estate investors, at least the more sophisticated ones, right? The big institutions and the investment groups and the wealthier people, they're doubling down. They're putting more money into investment right now, right? And you go, why? Right? And again, never let a good crisis go to waste. Or the way that Warren Buffett says it, when they are fearful, be fearless. When they are fearless, be fearful. So right now, everybody's full of fear. This is the time that you invest, because right now we have low interest rates. And regardless of these tariffs, guys, Windsor's in its second economic golden age, right? So you might live in Toronto and you might be seeing in your local media that your housing prices are going down 25%, right? Ours are flatlined right now. They don't go down. And part of that is because they didn't go up like crazy for 20 years like they did in Toronto or Vancouver, right? We've been closer to that 5% a year that's been present in Canada since Confederation in 1867. So I don't want to get off topic too much. What you need to understand is the tariffs are temporary in a variety of different ways. First of all, as I record this, and Dougie Ford sort of said it the other day, but I know through being a bit of a political insider that this is the case as well. There are intense negotiations going on right now between the Americans and the Canadians to strike up a combo deal. And what I mean by combo deal, both trade deal and security deal. And this is to the benefit of both parties, to both countries. It's going to be a win-win situation. But the way that the current president is hardwired in the States, you let him get the win, right? He wants the win. He wants to be seen as a great deal maker, right? So that's coming over the next 2 months. And once that settles down, you'll see a rush of the investors coming back into the play. And we already know that's starting to happen because we talked to the mortgage agents and the mortgage brokers, and they're starting to get a flood of mortgage applications again. So those buyers are coming back to the market, right? That's what you call a lead measure. So we know because the mortgage brokers are starting to get really, really busy. We know that we'll get really, really busy in about 30 days from now, right? So that's coming. Deal will be struck with America, which will, even if it still has tariffs involved, it will eliminate the uncertainty. It's the uncertainty that's hurting the economy, not whether there's tariffs or not. Look, if Trump put super aggressive tariffs on Canada for the rest of his term, the next 3.5 years, the first year it would cost our GDP about 2.5% to 3%. Okay, bad, but right now our economy is going up by 2.2% GDP year over year. You basically flatline it, right? Maybe you go into a little bit of a recession, mild recession. Year number 2, about 1.5% GDP drop. And by year 3, the economy has completely adjusted to the tariffs and there's no more negative effect on your GDP, right? So that's the if it lasts the rest of Trump's time in office, right? Because remember, guys, he's term limited. So at the worst, this is a 3.5-year process. And you can see from those numbers that the tariffs, even if they're debilitating at 25% right across the board, you would still have it ain't the global meltdown. Let's put it that way. It's 3% and then 1% and then gone. All right. As far as how it affects the economy. And what you'll find is a lot of companies are simply going to wait him out. So when people are panicking, for example, Honda at the Alliston plant fairly near Toronto said, oh, we're going to wait, a couple of years to do EVs. There's 2 reasons for that. One is EV demand isn't that great right now, right? Number 2, they want to wait out Trump a little bit, right? So if they start building 2 years from now, by the time they've built the plant, there's somebody else in office in the United States. And by then, everybody knows what's going on with the new trade deals, right? On top of everything else, America, with the automotive industry, already said that if cars being made in Canada are 50% or more being made in America as well, which is virtually, I think it's the entire Canadian automotive market, over half the cars that we put together and the parts and tools and dies and molds that we do, they're not affected. They're under the old North American Free Trade Agreement, and they're tariff free, right? And this is why you don't hear our automotive companies screaming bloody murder right now as much as you do the steel industry and aluminum industry, right? So we're pretty good because, I mean, again, remember, cars aren't made of a lot of steel and a lot of aluminum these days, different materials quite heavily. And especially as you go towards EV, even less steel and less aluminum, right? As you're not using combustible engines anymore. So I know I'm getting onto a couple of different tangents, but if you see what I mean, then the mentality down here, and you'll hear it from industry leaders down here, and even the mayor has used this word, and even Steve Gerouge in our market update last month used this word. We have a different mentality down here, guys. And because we're always dealing with problems coming from the States in a way that the rest of Canada doesn't have to. So we're used to dealing with the disaster du jour every 3 to 5 years, right? I've said this before because I don't want to go over it ad nauseum, but like when 9/11 happens, you guys go, oh, that's so bad, we'll pray for them. We go, how are we getting their trucks across the border? Holy cow, what are we going to do? You know, when Canadian money becomes at par with American money, as it did under George W. Bush, you guys go, oh, no, you know, great, we can go shopping in the States. We go, how are we going to make a profit exporting what we do, right? We need a weaker Canadian dollar. We need at least 1.2 as a differential. So we're used to dealing with problems with our relationship with the United States in a way that the rest of Canada doesn't have to. So you'll see everybody down here talk about it like a blip. So what I'm trying to do here, guys, is try to get you out of that Toronto bubble where you're seeing the housing prices and the condo markets and everything crashing. That's not happening down here. What's happened down here is the market has flatlined. You've seen a modest increase in the number of opportunities on the market, right? With a little bit less competition, a lot more things getting listed, which is great, and low interest rates. So right now, for investment purposes, Windsor is a very good opportunity. There are fewer people competing, right? Which means that you can buy a better opportunity. You're cash flowing, you've got low interest rates, and you're still in a city, despite all the tumult, that is in its second economic golden age. I don't know if you guys know this, but we had another factory the other day, a Taiwanese company. They've announced another 1,149 high-skilled jobs for Windsorites. They're building a factory. They announced it right in the middle of the tariff mess. And I know from my sort of political sort of contacts and community leaders in the city, I know there's more announcements like that coming. So be fearless when they are fearful. That's when you make your money. And I said this on another video that isn't published yet. I'm in Old Walkerville right now. I'm in the Distillery District. I own a beautiful 3-story commercial building. Steve Gerouge on our team, he does all our 2 to 6 multifamily sales. #1 an agent in that niche in Windsor. He owns another big, beautiful building in this area, another 3-story commercial. Then there's this guy, Mike. And Mike owns all the other big, significant properties in the old Distillery District. He's a heck of a nice guy. But I bring him up because when everybody's fearful, Mike's the guy that will walk out of his house on the top of the mountain, and he'll casually walk down the hill. He's not in a rush, and he's got a wad of cash in his pocket. And when everybody's screaming, fire, 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 help, help, and they're all running everywhere, Mike will just quietly buy the properties. And he has made a ton of money being fearless when they are fearful, because Mike and myself, we don't let a good crisis go to waste. I hope this helps at least a few of you break through that herd mentality of, oh, not right now, man. Be fearless when they are fearful. I'm Rhys from the Vanguard team at Manor Realty. Guys, subscribe below. I try to give this stuff and this good quality content as much as I can because I want to see you guys get wealthy. That's my MO, and that's my team's MO. Let's get you there.